Look around modern offices today and you might notice something missing. Break rooms sit empty, hallways are quiet. The ambient noise of casual conversation is gone. When employees hit a wall, we usually blame the workload. We assume people simply have too many tasks and not enough time. But the actual driver of modern burnout is something much quieter: profound professional loneliness. Dr. Christina Maslach's research maps burnout across 3 dimensions: emotional exhaustion, reduced accomplishment, and depersonalization. Lack of workplace community triggers this third ring. Depersonalization happens when people lose their empathetic link to others, withdrawing from colleagues and viewing their environment with deep cynicism. This happens because our current working models, heavily reliant on remote silos and hyper-individualistic productivity tracking, starve the human brain of the social-emotional interaction it requires to function. We are wired to connect. But when a workplace starves people of that connection, individual resilience tools like meditation apps or time management hacks fail against the systemic weight of isolation. Most companies try to fix this stress with employee assistance programs. These operate on a clinical, reactive model, waiting until an employee is already in crisis to offer a hotline or a few therapy sessions. This approach ignores a concept known as avoidable employee harm, the specific psychological damage inflicted directly by rigid, punitive corporate policies. Consider a traditional employee disciplinary investigation. The process is designed to protect the company, but it legally and socially isolates the employee. It strips away their peer support and psychological safety precisely when they are vulnerable to stress. Treating struggling employees as liabilities processed through a formal system isolates them further, compounding the exact factors that drive burnout in the first place. Fixing this requires looking outside traditional corporate management. The most effective blueprint for healing a fractured workforce actually comes from clinical psychiatry and the treatment of severe chronic mental illness. In 2011, researchers synthesized 97 studies to identify the core processes of healing, building the CHIME framework. They distinguished clinical recovery, reducing symptoms, from personal recovery, which is rebuilding a meaningful, autonomous life despite ongoing challenges. When mapped against the corporate world, the CHIME architecture acts as a direct antidote to the exhaustion and cynicism measured by the Maslach burnout inventory. A system robust enough to pull patients out of profound psychiatric distress contains the exact mechanisms needed to repair a toxic workplace culture. The first 2 pillars are connectedness and hope. Connectedness requires building horizontal peer support networks so no one works in total isolation. Hope is actively building psychological capital by giving employees the resources to believe in their own future success. The I stands for identity. Leaders apply identity leadership by validating employees as multifaceted humans, helping them reclaim a positive sense of self beyond the stigma of being just another worker struggling with burnout. M is meaning. This is about task significance. When daily, seemingly mundane tasks are clearly linked to a broader, shared social impact, employees build an immunity to emotional exhaustion. Finally, E is empowerment. It means abandoning micromanagement in favor of autonomy. It gives people control over their schedules and focuses entirely on leveraging their inherent strengths. These 5 elements form an interconnected ecosystem. Together, they shift an organization away from psychological extraction and turn it into an engine of sustainable well-being. We see this ecosystem at work inside the Aneurin Bevan University Health Board in NHS Wales, an organization that was buckling under high staff burnout and rigid disciplinary processes. They implemented a last resort intervention. HR protocols shifted radically away from formal, isolating investigations and moved toward informal coaching, peer support, and conflict resolution. This chart shows the results of that single cultural shift. Following the intervention, formal investigation cases dropped by 71%. That reduction saved the organization an estimated 3,308 employee sickness days and retained over £738,000 in capital. This need for connection crosses geographic boundaries. Recent social work research out of Malaysia examined recovery pathways for major depressive disorder, emphasizing that healing relies heavily on community integration and psychosocial support. The researchers found that integrating structured peer roles into employment programs creates a vital lifeline. Having shared lived experience with a peer is as critical to an individual's recovery as formal clinical care. Across diverse cultures, from European hospital wards to Malaysian communities, the data points to the same conclusion. Punitive isolation breaks people down, while structured, peer-driven connection builds them back up. Knowing this, leaders can engineer a recovery-oriented environment starting tomorrow morning. Step 1 is institutionalizing peer support. Create safe, informal, non-hierarchical spaces where colleagues can share their struggles without any fear of HR reprisal. Step 2 is auditing for avoidable harm. Review disciplinary and sick leave policies ruthlessly. Ensure they are designed to support the person rather than strictly punish the infraction. Step 3 is shifting from boss to coach. Train management to prioritize employee autonomy, psychological safety, and strengths-based development over strict compliance. We spend a third of our lives at work. By leading with compassion and embracing these recovery principles, we build workplaces where holistic well-being is the very foundation of our collective success.